Bryce Young and the Panthers did not look great. They actually looked very poor against the Jacksonville Jaguars in their week one. They could not do anything to stop the run game. It wasn't Trevor Lawrence who actually didn't look very good in his outing against Carolina, but 200 rushing yards, over 6 yards a carry, giving it up to Travis Etienne, looking like his former college self as an explosive player. Now, Carolina, we have to start off with their quarterback in Bryce Young facing that talented now Arizona secondary. The Arizona Cardinals invested so much into their secondary, really believing that they can turn the corner, and in order to compete in a division with Sam Darnold now, with Kupp and Jackson Smith and Jigba, with the Rams, with Devontae Adams and Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua, and of course San Francisco with C-Mac and the weapons that they have, that they needed to improve on defense. So Bryce Young is going up against a much improved Arizona Cardinals defense. I think that Bryce Young will play better in week two. I've thought in the preseason that Carolina would be a team that could win 7-8 games potentially, take a step, that Bryce Young would develop, that he would look better and flashing more of that athleticism like he did in week one, 5 carries for 40 yards, but also as a passer, improving in the pocket to elevate this team, very much showing what he did down the stretch at the end of last season. 18 of 35 for 150 yards, a touchdown and 2 picks. That's just not good enough from Bryce Young, and I would argue that the Arizona secondary now is just as talented as Jacksonville's. Now, did Arizona, right, in that secondary with what has Will Johnson, did we have any major plays that made you think, wow, like this Arizona defense is quite special? No, I mean, they played good. They were solid enough to be able to pull out a win on the road. Was a little bit closer. The score wasn't quite what they wanted it to be heading into the fourth quarter. It felt like the game was closer than it should have been. And why was that? Because of the penalties. I mean, we want to talk about sloppy football. 9 penalties for over 50 yards for Arizona. 13 penalties for 90 yards against the Saints. I mean, this was just a game that was a little bit hard to watch. And you go back and you see Kyler was probably the best player on the field that day. 21 of 29, 2 touchdowns. We see this level for Kyler Murray. The Arizona Cardinals are a playoff team this season if they can get rid of the undisciplined nature and not have all of the penalties. The run game, right? This was another improvement. We're expecting Benson out of the backfield, the kid from Florida State, and James Conner to really improve. Obviously, Kyler Murray will provide an element with his legs that very few can. 7 carries for 38 yards. Trey Benson, 8 carries for 70 yards. That's over 8 yards a carry. Continue that against Carolina. And Carolina's defense, even though that they were like, all right, we're going to go out there and acquire Princely Umanmielen. We're going to go out there and get Nick Scourton, right? They were very high on these young defensive players. Lathan Ransom in the back end in the secondary. These are going to be guys that can be effective on our defense that we feel really good about, but we need to see more of it in this matchup. Now, they need to shut down Kyler's legs. They need to shut down Marvin Harrison Jr. That's why you signed and you paid J.C. Horn all of that money to go out there and do it. Why is there a lean towards Arizona? Why are they a 6.5-point favorite at home? And you have to immediately look at what Carolina did last week, how poor they looked. And Arizona being a team last year that has talent, that they have talent that can match up with just about any team in football, but a quarterback that hasn't played well. You have a quarterback in Kyler that plays well with his ability to run the ball and his arm talent. I mean, that is an incredibly dangerous Arizona Cardinals football team. They look a lot like that. This game will get out of the hands of Carolina in the first quarter or at the end of the second. As far as Carolina, like, how do you dial it up next week? What are we expecting from the game plan? I think that they lean a lot more on Chuba Hubbard. Once again, I want to see them continuing to give him chances. Give him the ball 19, 20 times, establish the run, keep this a one-score game throughout the second half. make Kyler Murray beat you with his arm. I know that's quite simply put something that you might not want to see, that because of the weapons in McBride and Marvin Harrison Jr., how great they looked as one of the best wide receiver tight end duos that we have now in the National Football League. But if Carolina, that's your only option. Run the ball, chew clock a little bit, make Arizona throw the ball a lot more. I mean, they were able to maintain the time possession pretty well. But again, they had a Jacksonville team that they played against commit 11 penalties for 93 yards, and still you got beat that convincingly by 16 points, and you only had 4 penalties for 35 yards. It wasn't like they were horribly undisciplined. I mean, you're 8 of 15 on third down. Jacksonville wasn't great on third down. There's a lot more things that go into it. Of course, the turnovers come at key, crucial points, and those flip football games, and that was the story on the day. Everyone talked about Travis Hunter in that matchup. Really, it wasn't like this kid had that generational impact. He can at some point, but not a huge, bright, shining star in this game immediately. Did have both snaps on both sides of the ball, so obviously an impressive performance. The early lean in this game for me, I'm sticking with Arizona. I just was a bit more negative than I'd like to say about Carolina. I do think that they bounce back. I think that they cover the spread. 45.5 points. I'm going to go under that. I believe that Carolina loses this game 20-23, that Arizona beats them 23-20. They come out with a win at home. It's tighter than they want it to be. It's a bit sloppier, but all of the evidence points towards that being what happens in this football game. Bryce Young, Kyler Murray, a battle of a couple first overall picks from a couple of seasons ago. And another point that I have is that from what this roster looked like week 1, and Jacksonville's not a great team. That was a lot to do with why I picked Carolina to win their game week 1, was it just looked like that defense was missing some picks. Like, we needed more capital. That because of the Bryce Young pick, if you were able to invest the following year with your first rounder, with that second rounder, you end up giving up, and being able to put that towards the middle of the defense, right? It really seemed like that's where the run game was lacking. Obviously, Scourton, McMillan can be very good players, and that's exactly what Princely was taken to do, to elevate that defensive line. But it almost felt like they needed another guy, another linebacker that can play effective football, that they really missed Brian Burns, who played great, had 2 sacks for the New York Giants. So a number of things. Obviously, the receiving core taking guys like McMillan and Leggett in the first round. They've shown that they've invested in that part of the game. And I really like Chuba Hubbard. I believe he's one of the more underrated players in the NFL. Just felt like Carolina was missing an element of a roster standpoint, and I believe that Arizona has a better roster than them. So what do you think of my prediction, 23-20? Who wins this game? Let me know down below in the comments who wins. I think that we end up seeing Arizona really balanced in this game, able to show a lot of what they did in week 1, keeping it on the ground, over 5 yards a carry. They try and do that again, and getting the football to Marvin Harrison Jr., 6 targets. How about 8 or 9 in this game, continuing to target him more and be efficient? McBride expecting the same type of thing, 8, 9, 10 targets every single game. So I appreciate you. Subscribe for more content in the future. It'd be amazing to have you join this Blitz with Blender community of people that are passionate, that love football and watching it. We do cover a ton of college as well as the NFL, making videos every day, breaking things down, and obviously having a bunch of fun making these. So I appreciate you so much, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.
Best player in college football.
That Georgia and Ohio State game, New Year's Eve, is going to be a classic.
Josh Blunder, hi everybody, I'm Josh Blunder.
To the 40, 35, 30, Espinosa to the 20.